Main thing I wanted to get into is the Open Space Trust Fund, the revenue items here in sheet 8. There is, you're taking $2.8 million from the Open Space Trust Fund this year to pay parks employees. It was $2.35 million last year, and there was no open space bought. I mean, I know the justification is to pay parks employees, but what actually is the justification for the increase from 11 to 12 of $450,000? It's odd. And the more open space trust fund money, $5.2 million, is being paid to debt service. That's about all the fund. I mean, and you add the 2.8 to 5.2, the buying trees, the putting up the dog park, and that's pretty much it. There's no room for open space. And on that debt thing, it was $4.1 million, 2011. Now it's $5.2 million, and nothing was bought. Is there a worksheet anywhere where it ties into this $5.2 million? Because I've looked over 10 years worth of audits on the open space, and you took in $100 million and bought $70 million worth of stuff. I don't see any room for debt. I mean, you had all the money to pay for it, whether it was siphoned off in other areas. So it looks like this is just two numbers that were just made up to take money out of the Open Space Trust Fund, basically misappropriated. Is that the case? That's it. Thanks.
No, that's not the case. But I'll ask Director Taylor to come forward and give some additional comments.
Through you, Mr. Chair. First and foremost, Mr. Burry is correct. There is not a separate appropriation in the 2011 budget for the UCIA, hence the budget amendment. In order to clarify the description, in 2011, it was lumped into the public obligations line, and this year we separated it out in order to make the description more clear. The reason for the increase in the open space contribution is to help offset the appropriation for park maintenance. Those costs have increased, and to be quite candid, it was a very difficult budget year. And as a result, we try to maximize a lot of our various revenue sources that were legal and appropriate. It's very important to note that the expenditures of the trust are clearly set forth by statute and by the referendum. And the part of the statute that is most appropriate in the referendum to this appropriation is simply that the maintenance of lands acquired for recreation and or conservation purposes. Thus, it doesn't limit maintenance of properties solely to lands acquired by the Open Space Trust, but it speaks to all properties set aside for open space purposes. We do have a schedule that speaks to all of the various properties and parcels that we've acquired to support the debt service revenue that we put into the budget. And everything that's spoken to in this budget has been approved by the state as meeting the legal requirements of law.
Okay. Now, there was another question, I think, on debt. Oh, you mentioned it now. All right, thank you very much, Director.
A couple other quick items. One of the speakers was referring to the Open Space Trust Fund and how those dollars are spent. I just want to remind people that the name of the trust fund is the Open Space Recreation and Historic Preservation Trust Fund. It is not just a means of purchasing open space. It never was intended that way, and it never is intended that way. A large portion of that is how we fund a lot of our recreation projects, a lot of the historic preservation projects that we see around the county. So I don't want, if someone keeps saying it's just about purchasing open space, it's not. And if someone just keeps repeating that, people start to believe that. But that's just not the case. And again, questioning, it's fine to question how the dollars are spent. And I want to congratulate Director Taylor on an excellent explanation of how those dollars are allocated and how they're being spent this year.